everybody. I'm Mindy. It's really exciting to be here in Taipei, and thanks so much to the ETHTaipei team for inviting me. I'm a user researcher at CoW DAO, part of the core contribution team there. You might know us as the team behind CoW Swap and a couple of other things. And I have a little bit of a spicy topic for you today. I think it maybe sounds more dramatic than the talk is actually going to be. I'm not actually going to stand here for 30 minutes and say a bunch of bad things about account abstraction. Account abstraction is actually really cool. It's really necessary. I'm really excited about it. However, I want to use account abstraction as kind of a starting point today to maybe open up a larger discussion about the trajectory of Web3 UX kind of in general. So first, let me just give a little bit of a background about account abstraction, just in case anybody here is kind of unaware. So basically, with the coming of EIP 7702, users will be EOAs will be able to delegate certain permissions to a smart contract, letting them basically handle some functionality on behalf of the wallet. And this opens up the doors to a bunch of really cool UX things, including gas abstraction, for example, letting a smart contract cover the gas for a user, some different login and recovery methods so that users aren't sort of at the mercy of their seed phrase as much, custom spending permissions so that maybe the user doesn't have to constantly do the same repetitive signature over and over, and maybe a smart contract can handle that for the wallet instead, and a bunch of other things. And these are really cool, super exciting. However, here's my problem. For a while now, account abstraction has kind of been the focus of the Web3 UX conversation. And that's kind of annoying to me, honestly. And here's why. Because Web3 as an industry has historically been an industry where techie people are building technical solutions for other techie people. And now I know, we're making a lot of progress. DApp UX is getting much better. We're onboarding more people. We have a usability track at DevCon now. That's a plus. I mean, there are definitely improvements. But I feel like the conversation around account abstraction tends to get a little bit ahead of itself. So the conversation around account abstraction tends to kind of go like this. So we have these kind of major problems that account abstraction is going to solve. And then, at some point, we're going to be able to onboard a billion users because of these changes. So it's fix these problems, yada yada yada, a billion users, and that seems a little bit fishy to me. To me, it sounds like it's one more of these kind of technological magic silver bullets that Web3 is so fond of, right? It's just one more technical development, just one more thing that we're going to work on, and then it's going to happen, and then suddenly everybody's going to adopt blockchain. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Account abstraction is a really important step, but it's not enough. Without a deeper underlying understanding of how to build for non-technical people, Web3 is still not going to reach its full potential. And not just building for non-technical people, but building for them in such a way that Web3 is useful for them and easy for them to use, but not abstracting away so much complexity that they are disempowered the way that they are now on Web 2, that they're not able to control and make their own informed decisions, the way that Web 2 has kind of made things now. So what I want to do in this talk is I want to address this conversation. I want to sort of present a few criticisms, and then I also want to, at the end, kind of give some recommendations and some tips and some tricks for things that you can do as a DApp builder, if you are a DApp builder, to improve the UX of what you're building without having to, kind of wait and hope for some technical solution that is going to make everything better. So let's start off. Let's say that it happened. account abstraction happened and 1 billion users onboarded. Wow, we have 1 billion users now. Now what? Is your dApp ready for 1 billion users? Are you ready to educate all of those users? To tell them about potential edge cases? To educate them about the risks that they could face? Are you ready for 1 billion users to see that one weird kind of hacked together solution that you had to put together at the last minute because the deadline was coming and you had to ship the feature, and so normally it works okay, but every now and then kind of it gets wonky. Are you really ready for 1 billion people to see that? Do you have customer support that can handle 1 billion people? And don't say Discord. I swear to God, if you say Discord, a Discord server can hold a maximum of 500,000 people. Not 1 million, certainly not 1 billion. And speaking of Discord, we are an industry where this is the UI that people have to use to get help. This is where people have to go if they want to get help in this industry, if they want to learn more about the industry. First of all, I know it seems really super usable to you guys. It's not to most people. And spoiler alert, it's full of scammers. The place where people have to go to learn about things in the space is full of scammers who are just waiting to exploit newbies who come into the space. This is where people have to go if they want to check the details of their transactions. The UI of the dApp can be fine, but then if you want to go look at the transaction, this is what you have to deal with. MEV is still a huge problem, especially on mainnet. People lose millions of dollars to MEV every year. And even really sophisticated users still get burned by the terrible UX in some areas of Web3. I mean, look at the I'm sure very sophisticated, educated people who were handling the safe accounts on behalf of Bybit. They lost over $1 billion because of this one single parameter here, this itty bitty tiny baby parameter in the UI that is easy to overlook and not easily human readable. So these are all UX issues with account abstraction, UX issues that account abstraction is not going to be able to solve, that are out there in the wider ecosystem that we also need to be talking about. My next point, this focus on account abstraction tends to put the onus for solving Web3 UX problems on the wallet builders. First of all, I don't think this is fair to wallet builders. If you're a wallet builder, you can tell me later if you feel like you really are, enjoying the responsibility of having to onboard 1 billion people, that's all on your shoulders. Couldn't be me. I think that we should all feel responsible, not just wallet builders. Number 2, wallets are not the reason why people onboard to Web3. People aren't excited about making a non-custodial wallet. They're excited about contributing to a DAO, about buying a meme token. They're excited about using Gnosis Pay, playing a Web3 game, using some dApp. And the dApp UX is just as important as the wallet UX. The wallet onboarding process can be great, it can be super, super amazing, but then if the dApp that the user wants to use sucks, or if the next thing that they use sucks, or the third thing that the user sucks, that's still gonna make or break their relationship with Web3 as a whole. For example, let's look at Polymarket. Polymarket has a really great, nice UI. You onboard to Polymarket, as a newbie user, you get an abstracted wallet, great, everything's fine, super cool. But then let's say that, you want to go look at this new shiny Web3 wallet that you have. Maybe there's something to this blockchain thing after all. So you click the link to go check out your wallet, maybe look at your transactions, see what it looks like. Guys, this is what it looks like on the right. You have to go from this really nice Polymarket UI to this Polyscan UI here, which is barely readable by human beings, and does not entice people to onboard to Web3 or to stay into Web3. Sorry. My next point is that account abstraction doesn't absolve us of having to explain complex things to the users, right? I think there's this kind of excitement about like, oh yeah, things are going to be abstracted and like then people don't have to deal with complexity anymore. That's not true. Just a couple of examples for example, of functionality that account abstraction is going to be able to offer. I heard one example, let's say that you'll be able to set up with your wallet, you'll be able to set up a custom permission where if you die and your wallet doesn't transact for a whole year, after that your funds will automatically be sent to your friends or family, and so then that's something that you don't have to worry about, theoretically. But you still have to like explain to the user why they need to set that up, why that's important. You still have to explain to that person's friends and family how they're going to get those funds. It doesn't remove all the complexity and all the need to explain certain things to educate users. Another example, gas abstraction. You can abstract away the gas and say like, okay, this smart contract is going to handle the gas for you. Like you don't need to think about it as a user. But then, if the network is busy, if gas is really high, you still have to tell the user why their transaction is taking a long time. You still have to tell them why they're not maybe going to get back as many tokens as they expected to get, because gas is high and okay, we abstracted it away, you're not paying the gas, but actually we're paying the gas and under the hood. So like there are always going to be complex things that we still have to explain to users. And that requires us as an industry to get better at explaining hard things. And that's something that we don't want to do. We haven't historically wanted to do it. We still don't really want to do it. Most dApps just kind of expect people to know things. They expect people to go and do their own research. Or like I said, they just expect that like, yeah, eventually everything's going to be abstracted away. It's going to be cool. And like, then we don't have to kind of deal with the fact that there are some fundamental differences between Web 2 and Web 3, and people need to be educated about those. So what now? Thanks to account abstraction, we are getting rid of some of the barriers, lowering some barriers to mass adoption. However, now is the time for us as builders, as dApp builders specifically, to really take on the responsibility of learning how to strike that balance of abstracting away certain things that are really technically complex that users don't need to know about, but actually giving them some complex information that they might need to know about. And we have to be ready to accommodate a wider range of knowledge levels, of backgrounds and mental models if we really want to onboard a billion people like we say we do. So first, a couple of recommendations to the industry. The first one is really obvious. I think we need to hire more UX people. UX designers, UX researchers. Web 2 has so many UX people, big Web 2 companies, small Web 2 companies, they have so many UX people and they have it down to such a science. It's not just like, okay, yeah, the button should be here, yeah, here's what color the button should be. They have it down to like how to manipulate people, how to prompt people to choose make the selection that they want you to choose, how to word things so that people believe what you want them to believe. And a lot of times they've used that power for evil. They've used that power to addict people, to trick people into giving away their data. And I think it's time for Web 3 to really take that power into our own hands and use it for good. Now, if you need like a business reason for this, you can look it up. UX research has a really high ROI. It makes sure that you're building the right thing from the very beginning so you don't make a bunch of mistakes and you don't waste a bunch of money and a bunch of time. And if you don't have the funds to hire someone in-house, there are Web3 focused freelancers. There are agencies you can work with, heck, you can even like just email me and I will find somebody who can do UX work for you. Like, it's not that hard. Another thing is I think that we should collaborate on UI standards for Web3. It's really interesting, as an industry, Web3 is possibly the most collaborative industry that has ever existed on the technical side. You have product teams that are on one level competitors, but at the same time are still working together on EIPs, on interoperability to really be collaborative and ensure that things progress forward in a way that's good for everybody. And I think that we should have that on the UI side too, because all of us who are designing dApps, who are working on Web3 UIs, we're all in the same boat. We're all dealing with the same issues. We're all dealing with like, users don't want to read. users don't want to, they want to click through all the steps in the flow really quickly so they can get their transaction done as fast as possible. But then they blame the DApp, if something goes wrong because they didn't read the details of their transaction. And by the way, I know you all do the same thing. I know you don't read the details of your transactions either. So many times I'll be doing research with somebody who's like, a really sophisticated person, a really sophisticated user, really technologically knowledgeable, and they'll be testing the DApp, and they'll just be like, yeah, I'm clicking through all this. I should probably be reading it, but I'm not gonna. That's what we're designing around. It's like all these, everybody's dealing with these same issues, these really human user behaviors. So I think that we should work together to find the best ways to design for those. Now, right now, Web3 is in a place where we can pretty much say, yeah, it works, most of the time. The transaction normally works this way, as long as, the right tokens are being used, and as long as gas is not too high, and as long as, 5 different services are responding properly, and, and then, oh, well, if there's a native token involved, then things get a little bit weird, because, native tokens, they behave differently from ERC20 tokens. And by the way, do you ever feel bad for native tokens? Because, they're outnumbered on their own chain. As they were first, actually, they're the native token of the chain, but they're considered to be the odd one out. Anyway, just something I think about sometimes. But I think that anyway, we should collaborate on UI standards for Web3. And then some recommendations for what you can do as a DApp builder or a DApp designer to improve the UX of whatever you're working on right now without waiting for some technological improvement. Most of my examples are going to be from DEXs because that's mostly what I work on. Not trying to shill, just writing what I know. So the first thing is I was thinking about how we make UX decisions on the core team at CoW. And I realized that we have a lot of UX discussions. Whenever we're coming up with a new feature or a new product, we really discuss a lot about what we want the UX to be like. And it usually boils down to a couple of different questions. The first is, what does the user want to do here? So what is the user's, the thing they want to accomplish? What's their goal? And what do they need in order to make this decision or to accomplish this goal? So this is where we kind of pare down the UI and only really show what the user needs to see. So if it's a swap, they need to see how much they're paying and how much they're getting, right? The most basic things. But then the second question is, what does the user deserve? And this is where we start to add more things back into the UI. So if it's a swap, maybe they need to know some risks potentially that they're taking. Maybe they need to know what some potential edge cases are. Maybe they need some links to to the contract or to the token to kind of get more information and make sure they're making the right decision. What kind of information should we be showing to the user that they really deserve to see before they make this transaction? One way to do this is progressive disclosure, especially if you want to know how to add those deserve elements into the UI. So this is a pattern where basically first you show, as I said, you show the user in the first step or on the first page what they need to see, really, the basics. And then maybe on the next pages or on some secondary pages or in the next step of the flow, you show them secondary actions, secondary information that they might need to see, more advanced information that maybe they didn't need to think about in the first step. And that way they kind of don't get overloaded from the very beginning. So one good example of this is on a DEX, for example. At the very bottom here, right above the swap button, you'll see the total amount that you're going to be paying for this transaction in terms of fees and gas. But then, if the user wants, they can open up that drop down and see more details of this. Right? This is a good example of progressive disclosure. Another example, also on DEXs, where at first you just see kind of the information that you really need to do the swap, but then on the confirmation screen, the second step, you see more detailed information, and then you also see maybe like a secondary action, like if you want to send the tokens to a different wallet. Another is to explain what's happening to users, because users actually don't want everything to be abstracted away. So this is an example from an old version of CoW swap, where as the swap was happening, the user would see a progress bar that would kind of slowly fill, and then if there was a problem, like in this example you see here, the limit price is out of market, then it would tell the user there was an error. Users didn't like this, and I was doing research to kind of understand why they didn't like it. I realized that it wasn't that it didn't give enough information, because it did, but it was too abstract. It was abstracted away. It didn't accurately reflect how CoW swap works under the hood, and users could tell that. Users were like, this doesn't seem real to me. This seems fake. It seems like there's something else going on that this UI is not telling me about. And they were right. So we tried a bunch of different things, and what we came up with was kind of a step-by-step model instead. So now if you do a trade on CoW swap, you see step 1, step 2, step 3, and then kind of the confirmation at the end. And the steps here are actually 100% accurate. They are all tied to the actual status of the order in our backend. And we wanted to make sure that this wasn't too technical for users, that it was accurate but not too technical. So what we did was, we made it pretty simple. The text for each step is a maximum of 1 or 2 sentences. We didn't write a bunch of technical language here. We used words that people are familiar with. Batch, everybody knows what a batch is. Competition, people know what a competition is. The winner, people know what that is. And so when users saw that, they liked it. They liked it a lot more. In fact, even users who hadn't used CoW swap before ended up really liking this. And the reason was not because they understood a bunch of technical things about what CoW swap was doing in the back end, but it was just because they saw the information that they needed to see. They went away with, I know what's happening to my order. I know what's going to happen next. I know where I can click if I want to go get more technical information about what's happening. And I know that, CoW swap is doing something here, and, maybe I don't need to know all the details about it, but, I know why my order is taking maybe a long time because I know what's happening to it. And that's enough, And this is an example of how non-technical doesn't have to mean not complex or super basic or super abstracted away because people just won't be able to understand. Just a couple other things that you can keep in mind. Understand who your target user is and what their mental model is. Like I said, for our users, we don't expect users to know a lot of technical things. So we use concepts they're already familiar with: batching, competition. Facebook, when they first launched, they were using the directory model, right? They made it look like a physical directory because that was something people were familiar with. So whatever your users are already kind of familiar with, think about that and design with that in mind. Provide pathways for people to dig deeper. They can click and get a learn more, get an information and information icon, and go learn more technical information if they want to. Tell the user how to fix a problem. I was recently using a competitor DEX, not going to say who, and there was an error because it said the route couldn't be found for my trade, and the error message was route could not be found. Please use a different sell token or buy token. That's not really helpful because, it's like I came to this DEX to buy this new meme coin, but while I'm here, I guess I'll just buy some ETH or something. That's not a realistic scenario, right? So if you're going to provide, an error message, tell the user what's happening, tell them how to fix it, if it's possible. Give them a link to where they can go, like in this example, to go fix it. Tell them, where to go to let you know about this error if there's really nothing they can do about it in that moment, so at least they feel like they've been able to do something. And if there's really nothing they can do, just be honest. And just tell them we're working on it, guys, sorry. Don't lie to them. Learn what your users' main questions are and try to preemptively answer those in the UI if you can. So, we had a lot of questions around around limit orders, specifically around, like, where is the price coming from for this limit order? And like, how do I know when my limit order is going to execute? And so we put that information right there in the UI so people can see it. And we tested these messages to make sure that they were pretty understandable by most people. Sometimes you might want to be opinionated with your dApp, but you need to explain to users why. What I mean by opinionated is, if you think about Web 2, for example, a lot of times the apps will make decisions for you, so that you as a user are kind of not overloaded by decisions. So like if you think about TikTok, for example, you can't decide what's on your For You page, right? The app is making that decision for you. Sometimes that's good, but sometimes it limits users' freedom. So you want to be careful about that. If you are making decisions making decisions for the user or changing something for the user on their behalf, you want to let them know about that. You want to give them the option to change it. For example, here on CoW, sometimes we have a dynamic slippage setting where for certain token pairs, maybe if there's a lot of volatility, the slippage will kind of automatically be algorithmically adjusted to make sure that that transaction is likely to go through. But we tell the user about that and we give them the option to change it if they want. Don't assume that users know a lot of things. Give them plenty of information. Give them plenty of explainers, information icons, links to different official pages if necessary, to contracts so they can check them out, verify them for themselves. Information about edge cases or about like maybe when a different action would actually be better for them. And just like tell people what your dApp does and like why they should use it. A lot of times we neglect this in Web3, and then people are like, why should I use this dApp? Because you didn't actually put that in your UI, that's why. Provide help, provide FAQ, but like don't like validate your FAQ with the users. Make sure that the questions in your FAQ are questions that actual users ask, not just questions that you would ask. Sorry, I was supposed to skip this slide. Most importantly, talk to your users. It's, like I said, it's not that hard. And you can do this in a lot of different ways that people don't think about. So, you can test your dApp, obviously. If you don't have a dApp, you can test a prototype of your dApp. If you don't have a prototype, you can test a competitor dApp. Like, if you're building something right now, you know what your competitors are going to be. Like, go test that dApp with users. You can test your dev docs to make sure that that it's understandable by other devs who might want to work on your protocol. A couple of tools you can use for this. If you want to DIY it, you can just use Typeform, Google Forms. Send out a survey to your Discord, get people to sign up for research, etc. I really like DSpark on the left here. DSpark is a Web3 focused platform. They recruit Web3 users for you. They handle the signing them up and handling the payouts for them for their compensation, everything like that. It's super useful. I really recommend that you use it. Here are a couple of resources for unmoderated testing of dApps. If you don't want to sit and do the test individually yourself, you just set up the test questions and then the app will walk the user through the test. And then it's always nice as well, obviously, to have a place that's not Discord, where people can go and leave feedback for your dApp or get some help if they need it. So that's my talk. Thank you. And I have QR codes here on the left if you want to access these slides. And on the right is a Web3 UX Research 101 explainer and resource document made by my friend Christina at SAFE. It's really useful, and I think that you should check it out. That's it.
Thank you so much, Mindy.